Jake is with us. Jake's in Portland, Oregon. Hi, Jake. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave and Rachel. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I have a question. So this year I became debt-free. I followed the baby steps, and I'm debt-free, and I've got approximately $70,000 in the bank with that's including my emergency fund.
Nice.
My issue is that my mother and my older brother with mental disabilities lives in a dilapidated house that's owned by my grandpa. She's been living in it for 17 years without paying any kind of rent, and he refuses to maintain it at all. So it hasn't had anything done to it in 17 years. It's currently falling apart. It has mold in it. It has holes in the wall. I mean, it's pretty bad. I've been running the numbers, and I think it's going to be about a $100,000 remodel. So my question is, should I buy this house from my grandpa and then put the money in out of my savings into doing the remodel, even though I may not have enough right now? Or do I say, forget this house and then move them out into a different house because this is an unhealthy situation and I'm not sure how to fix this situation at the moment?
What do you make a year?
I make about $110,000.
How old are you?
32.
You're an extraordinary young man.
Thank you.
Willing and able to do this for your mom and your brother with disabilities. Well done. So what I always think of is what is the most efficient way, financially and time-wise, to accomplish the goal. And the goal is for your mother and brother to have a place to live that's not mold infested and falling down.
Sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So, there's two things you can do. What would I do if I were in your shoes? Is your home paid for?
I actually sold my home at the beginning of the pandemic, and now I'm renting really cheap. So I lowered my living expenses by 75% by renting.
Mm-hmm.
So
at some point, again, you will buy and move on with your life in that part of your world. Are you single?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I would do a two-step procedure if I were in your shoes. One is I would move them out into an inexpensive rental immediately.
Okay.
And just pay for it.
Okay.
You make a ton of money, and you have a ton of money in comparison to them. And by the way, a few months of rent is a lot less than buying a house for $100,000 or remodeling a house for $100,000. You can rent a long, long time for $100,000, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we don't want to do this forever, but my point is use of your cash and burning of your cash. If you rented them a property for 2 years, what could you rent it for?
Approximately the rent around there, it would be about $1,300 a month, I believe.
Okay. All right. And so, I'm probably going to cheat on that and say, let's try to, they're living in a dump now. Let's try to make it $1,000. That's $12,000. If you did it for 2 years, that'd be $24,000, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's a sizable upgrade from where they are. During that 2 years, save money and buy an inexpensive property that is way nicer than they're living in now and pay cash for it and just let them live there.
Okay.
And I think you could probably pull that off in 2 years, couldn't you?
Yes, sir. I think so.
And then you would move on with you buying a house for you later. Do not move in with them.
No.
And do not combine your
Can't do
household. Do not combine your households in order to make this financial goal happen.
Okay.
That is not what I'm suggesting. Okay. But where do they live?
They live down in Arkansas.
Where in Arkansas?
Northwest Arkansas, around Fayetteville.
Yeah. Okay. So you can 4x their living situation for $75,000 to $100,000, can't you?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's a palace compared to where they're living.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. And just pay cash for it. And then all you got to do is make sure that the taxes are paid, the insurance is kept up, and that your mom keeps the utilities paid, which she's probably doing now, right?
Barely. She's got a business that wasn't doing very well before the pandemic, and now it's just stuck a knife in it, so it's going to go out of business. So she has zero income at this point.
Yeah. How old is she?
In her early 50s.
Time for her to have another income.
Yes, sir, and that's something we've talked about, but she fights against it.
Yeah, well, sitting on your butt is not going to work. She didn't have this as an option. So you can be generous to a point, but we're not going to be an enabler either. So you're a fine young man. That's how I would do it. I would rent something for probably less than $1,000 now that I've learned a little more. And and then some good area, but it's an expensive area.
Yeah.
And so and good people. But I would rent something inexpensively for a couple of years, pile up some cash, pay cash for it, and then move on with your financial goals. But also a part of that is she needs to be able to maintain it, and she needs to be able to get her career moving again. She is in her early 50s, and this is a requirement of the future of her life. She has a 90-year life expectancy. That's a long time from 52.